Alrighty, so here's some other mechanics that I didn't talk about yesterday that exist in the game. So you can come over here to gauge settings and you can adjust, from their default settings, both players' health bars and meter and their V-trigger gauges. So I'm going to put this at normal, or it isn't normal, to show you about how quickly you, this is how you, you gain the various meters. So any attack that you land on the opponent builds you that blue meter, regular meter, including when they're blocked. You gain a little bit. Everything that happens, anything that connects, you're gaining a little bit of meter. And you gain more meter for special moves. You gain meter for special moves even if they don't connect. Which usually means that characters who throw a lot of fireballs, because they're constantly, doing special after special, they tend to build a lot of meter over the course of the match. So yeah, for the terminology, these regular attacks, light punches, medium punches, heavy kicks, all these are called normals. If I were to go into the command list for Mika here, you have special moves, which are, these ones with the motions. And then you have unique attacks, or they would be called command normals or target combos. So this right here, stomp, chop, light kick, medium punch. Just like that. So that would be referred to as a target combo. It's a sequence of normal attacks that uniquely chain together like that. So it's its own unique move. And then you have moves like this, forward and heavy punch. So regular heavy punch does this, crouching heavy punch does this, but forward and heavy punch does this. So when you have extra moves, extra normals, normal attacks that come from holding a certain direction or something, these are called command normals. So this is a command normal. So yes, you have normals, specials, and then critical art, or most people would just refer to this as a super. So you have normals, specials, and super. So yeah, regular attacks, you have like this. When you gain enough meter, you can do, one of those bars will be spent if you do an EX move. So, an enhanced version of any special, which will spend 1 bar, and you need all 3 bars to do the super. You also gain meter even when you're not the one acting, so if the opponent were to hit you, like, the opponent, or the person doing the action usually gains more meter, but even if someone's just getting hit, they're still building a little bit of meter. So in any case, that's about how quickly you gain the red gauge, the V gauge, which you gain for taking damage. So one of those bars there, as you can see, it says reversal. In the bottom left corner of the screen, it says reversal. So that indicates that Mika has the ability to do a mechanic I didn't talk about yesterday, called a V-reversal. So this is something that you can do when you block an attack. You can cancel out of the block animation with an attack, and for Mika, for most characters, this is done by, after you block, you press forward and all 3 punches or all 3 kicks, which is usually assigned to a particular button. So for me, this would be like the left trigger on the controller, which should be the default. So I block, and then I press forward in that, and that pushes him away and creates some distance. So it's a way to get the opponent off of you. So if you were to keep doing something, like let's say he were to do that, into crouching medium kick, into the fireball. Your V-reversal is completely invincible when you do it. So it goes through the fireball, and it hits him, and then it does this attack. So, you know, it does spend some of your V gauge, but it is a useful tool, especially for Mika, because Mika's is one of the better ones in the game, because it goes into this whole animation where she knocks them down like that, which is not the case for a lot of other characters. As you can see, you still build a little bit of this V gauge, even when you're just blocking. So, you take damage when you block. You take a little bit of damage each time you block, which is equivalent to the amount of red meter, the amount of V gauge that you gain. But even if it's just gray life, so even if it's just gray life, so he only hit me with attacks that deal the potential damage, the gray life, but I can recover that health and still so that means that I haven't lost the health yet. It can come back over time, but I've already built the V gauge. So your V gauge is not one-to-one a translation of like how much health you've lost. Sometimes you can build V gauge through health that you gain back. And your V skill for each character, you get a choice when you pick the character of which one you want to use in the match. For Mika, V skill 1 is this microphone thing that you can hold. And whenever you use a V skill in a particular way, it also builds you V gauge. So just using it with Mika here builds you a little bit of V gauge, as you can see in the bottom left. Hitting the opponent with the microphone builds a lot more. And Mika's V skill 2 is this parry attack, which builds you a lot when you use it. This is not a particularly good V skill, but compared to her other one, but a parry is sometimes useful to have. For example, if I have the opponent jump like this, you know, if I'm right here, it's easy enough to just anti-air with this. This is Mika's regular anti-air. She can also go up here for what's called an air-to-air, so she can meet the opponent in the air with an attack if she sees them jumping. And she has this special target combo she can do in the air, which hits them down. So she can also do it like that. And she has this anti-air throw, which switches sides with the opponent. She also has this forward heavy punch. It's not usually used as an anti-air, but it yields a lot of damage if you get it correctly. But say the opponent does this instead. So if the opponent does this and jumps on the opposite side, so as a cross-up, I can't really anti-air because my anti-air goes forwards and he's already passed by, but I can still use this V skill 2 and parry because the parry hits on both sides. So it is useful in some situations. And whenever you land it as a parry, it builds you V gauge. So this is a situation where I'm at low health and he can do a super and it will kill me, even if I'm blocking because of the chip damage. However, in this situation where I'm like being locked down, I'm already forced to block. As soon as I see this, I can do the V reversal. So that's your... So if you're at really low health and the opponent has their whole super available to them, you are very close to getting, like, checkmated. Like, as soon as they force you to block something, you know, as soon as they force you to block, like, just about anything, they can, get you into that super, which is a checkmate situation. However, so long as you have 1 bar of that V-gauge available to you, it means that they can't just cancel into that because you can V-reversal. This is another mechanic that I didn't really touch on a lot. So once you deal enough, so every attack does a certain amount of damage and stun. And, you know, as a combo continues, like, say I hit the opponent like this, and then this. So this heavy punch usually does 90 damage, but if I do it after this medium punch, which does 60 damage, the total comes to 141. So every attack that you do in a combo decreases the overall damage of the next move, which is called scaling. You can see damage scaling right there. It means that the more you hit them in a single combo, the next attack is going to be scaled to that 80% right there. So 100%, 90, 80%. And it can be scaled pretty low, like to the point where your next attack is only dealing 20% of what it would usually do. So that's damage scaling in general. When you cancel an attack into a V-trigger, like this, it drastically increases the scaling. As you can see, it goes straight from 100% to 70% because of that. And, but there's one thing where if you hit the opponent with a super, as you can see, the damage scaling went back up to 50%. You can see there in the top right. Super attacks, like this, will only ever scale to 50%. So even if you're doing a really long combo, supers will always deal, like, at bare minimum, a set amount of damage, half of their normal hit. So this, its normal attack at 100% is 360 damage. At bare minimum, anytime you land this, even if it's with a lot of scaling at the end of a long combo, it'll still deal a significant chunk of damage. But anyway, so stun works the same way. Stun is also, each move has a certain amount of stun that it does, and the stun is also scaled. Some attacks are better at dealing stun as opposed to damage. So when you get the opponent stunned, they're in this state where they can't really do anything. Here. So that's how long it takes them to recover from stun normally. But if you mash buttons, you can recover from the stun much faster. So every time you get stunned, you should be just fucking thumbing and fingering all your buttons all at once. So you can get out of it faster. That being said, every time the opponent stuns you or you stun the opponent, you're still guaranteed to get something. So you're still guaranteed to get, like, if you act quickly, you know, even if they get out of it as fast as possible, you're still probably going to get, like, a big combo out of it. And then, yeah, of course, we have the V-trigger that you can activate when you have the full V-gauge. And some V-triggers are more costly than others. For example, if I were to go to V-trigger 2 here, it costs 3 bars, which means that you're pretty close to being dead. Or you're at, like maybe a third of your health is left by the time that you know, usually have gotten enough damage to get access to this. Other mechanics I didn't talk about. So if the opponent's going to do something like this, so this microphone thing that I have right here, it has 1 hit of armor. You can see that purple flash that happens when he's hitting me. He's not knocking me out of the move right away because it has 1 hit of armor. Some moves that are armor moves have more hits of armor. But yeah, in this situation, you can use it to armor through. You wouldn't use this move for this purpose, but in general, armor moves can do this thing where they blow through 1 attack. Usually not instantly. Usually armor doesn't occur instantaneously. So this is a move that Mika has. EX, whatever this move is called, EX Peach, which is the enhanced version of this move. So this has armor when you do it. As you can see, it's armoring through that attack, and when you armor through an attack, you still take a little bit of damage. As you can see in Mika's health bar, it's turning to gray life. So a little bit of damage is being dealt as potential damage, but I still, you know, armor through the attack and then still get him. So this is a move that can be used in some circumstances to blow through certain attacks. However, it doesn't work immediately. As you can see, so I'm doing it here, but I'm not able to armor through it. It is 2 hits, but it's also because I'm not getting it fast enough. So yeah, those are some of the mechanics that I didn't talk about before.